is a very surreal show too. You know, I just used that word a little while ago, and you probably hear me use it again because it really is. It's weird. And, you know, I think that is cool because as much humor as we saw in this trailer, the show, that weirdness in the show is kind of reflecting how crazy the world is right now. And what you don't see in that trailer right there is that a lot of this is scary. Vote for us for Best Podcast at the Austin Chronicle Best of Austin Awards. How do you do that? Well, you go to vote.austinchronicle.com. You sign in. You go to the category of politics and media. You scroll down to podcast. And there we are at the top. Woohoo. You vote for us right there. Very easy to do so. So please vote for us. It means a lot and it helps us out a lot. So we've had a lot of people ask us about Atlanta. Y'all talking about all these shows. Ain't nobody watching Atlanta. And I do love Atlanta, at least season 1 and season 2 that I had seen. Had not seen season 3. And people had feelings about that. People were talking about, man, how can you talk about you love Atlanta and you ain't up on season 3 yet? This is the show that's created by Donald Glover and a couple other people on there. I know there's a guy that directs a lot of these episodes.
Oh, Hiro Murai?
Yeah. Straightforward, it seems like at first. It's about a guy named Earn trying to manage an Atlanta rapper on the rise, Paperboy, played by Henry, what's his name?
David Tyree Henry.
David Tyree Henry. But now Paperboy.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Paperboy, who you've seen a lot of. Made his way. I mean, this guy blew up after this. He's kissing dudes now in Marvel movies and everything. So he went from gangster rapper to
superhero
to gay superhero. But now, character Paperboy, he's over in Europe. That's how much he's blown up. And during that time, the show has got wild, man. The show has taken some really surreal turns of direction here. So, you know, I was going to talk about season 3 along with Atlanta in general. Just going to talk about this real quick because now the show, after 3 seasons, now that it's a bigger show, more people know about it, people's curiosity is up a little bit and people thinking they can come into the show at any time and start watching. And I wouldn't do that. First, you know, let me tell you about how I feel about the show, and also, and you know, anybody else in the room who's seen it, please chime in. And also, I'm going to tell you not only how I feel about it, but as someone who might be getting to the show late, or you might have not seen a season for a while and you're getting back into it like I am, I'm going to tell you how to watch this. Let's go ahead and get caught up real quick here on season 3, though, with the trailer for Atlanta, season 3.
You know, what the streets think.
The streets?
Girl, what the f***?
You about to beat the shit out of that girl. Run, girl! Shit, before he catches you.
A little more in the moment.
It's like if you're a first-time weed smoker or drug user or something, you need to ease into this. You don't need to just jump right into it. And you need to understand this show, really, to get into it. Now, you said something to me earlier where you said, please help me. So I'm just assuming by that statement that this show kind of threw you off a little bit, threw you for a loop.
Well, I've seen the first 2 seasons.
Okay. Have you seen any of the 3rd season?
I've seen the first 3.5 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, y'all, you know, you need to ease into this. And I'm gonna, like I said, I want to address this for all the people that say, hey, man, talk about Atlanta just for a little bit. So I'll tell you, I still enjoy it, man. I really do. I love this show. Don't always see eye to eye with the show, but I do love this show, man. It's a bizarre show. And for some people, it will be, even if you get in probably on the first season, it's going to be a what the show for people. And I get it, man. I get it. You know, it's because it's going to challenge people just simply with its format. Now, format is really going to be something that people, that, you know, it's not going to be something you're used to seeing. And I get that, but that's why I admire this show. And I think I get it because the show is a very surreal show too. You know, I just used that word a little while ago and you probably hear me use it again because it really is. It's weird. And, you know, I think that is cool because as much humor as we saw in this trailer, the show, that weirdness in the show is kind of reflecting how crazy the world is right now. And what you don't see in that trailer right there is that a lot of this is scary. A lot of this kind of has a horror movie aspect to it, a little tinge to it. Because I think it does that because America is scary right now for people like us. It's a really frightening place. Normalized racism, efforts to silence us, disempower us, take rights away from us. It might seem exaggerated to a lot of people out there to go through it, but it's fully active right now.
Sure.
Take our history away. If you're not in that position, it's a crazy place right now and a very scary place. And I think the show sometimes takes on horror aspects of itself to show how it's, what's going on in this world. Some of the scariest parts is happening more blatant than ever. The point that they want to get across with racism and all these social issues that we're talking about right now, where Atlanta does it with humor, you get some other places where they just victimize us.
Sure.
Victimize us, terrorize us, and people just at least I get tired of seeing that shit. We just went off on one show that was on Amazon that was trying to be a combination of some Jordan Peele shit in Atlanta.
They came from someplace worse.
We'll have to make this place worse.
And that's the show Them from Amazon. And some people might like that show. Yeah, us and, yep. Wow, you even tried to play off that. And some people might like it. No offense to people who do, really. But I was just through seeing, victimization. Mm-hmm. And I just had enough. And believe me, that show beats that shit into the ground. They beat black people to the ground on that show with that. Killing babies and, no hardly any humor involved. It's just like, Jesus. It made me even say, damn, white people ain't that evil. Huh?
Exactly.
Thank you.
I saw you shaking your head when I was talking about the format of this.
Oh, no, I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't saying you disagreeing. I thought you just kind of being like, yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That was the thing when the show originally aired, the first season. I wasn't even that crazy about it. I think I bailed on it. It wasn't until the middle of the second season with the special episode. What was the
Teddy
character?
Perkins.
Teddy Perkins.
Teddy Perkins. That you like, hey, we got to watch this one. And watching that one, how surreal that one was, that endeared me to the show. I went and watched all the second season and then went back to the first season.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, listen. The format is something itself to get adjusted to when watching this. Now, like I say, I really love this. Kind of tell you real quick why I love this so much. It's just one of the most unique shows on television. It actually goes back to things that we've seen before. Surrealist stuff like this. Twin Peaks.
Man, that's what I've always thought. I'm like, this is Donald Glover's. I was gonna say this is Donald Glover's Twin Peaks because it deals with like supernatural, fantastical stuff, or it doesn't.
Yeah, who knows? Twin Peaks. There was a show called Northern Exposure back in the day. These were quirky shows about just weird things in weird locations, and Donald Glover made Atlanta like a weird type of surreal location. Now, when it started out, it was straightforward. They had all these misadventures in Atlanta, which was kind of like a black Twilight Zone in a way or something, because it was full of wild and crazy characters, including, like I said, the first one that we met was Darius. Occasionally the main characters would go off and have their own standalone episode, and some of those might be funny, some of those might be weird, some of those, might be dramatic, but and a lot of them were going to odd places, but it still the plot remained straightforward. Ern trying to succeed with Paperboy, mainly so he can provide for his ex and their daughter. His ex played by Zazie Beetz. Again, they followed kind of that throughout the first episode. First season. Second seasons where they gradually started to embrace the weirdness. It's almost like they were successful, and they're like, well, we can do whatever we want now. And they just started doing just anything that fancy their whims, man. Season 3 is probably the wildest season that they've had so far. And let me tell you how to watch this now, because we went from just a little weird story about trying to help this rapper be successful so this manager can take care of his family, maybe win his girl back. Now you need to watch this as kind of a fable a pseudo anthology, and also diving deeper into surrealism. In fact, they put a name to surrealism probably because of this show. They call it Afro surrealism because anytime something's black, you got to put Afro on it. They got Afro futurism.
Right.
You know, I'm sure you're gonna have Afro fantasy now. You know, now that you got black people, Lord of the Rings. You know, just put Afro on it, and all of a sudden it's black. So they got Afro surrealism, which could probably be appropriate for this. The thing is, some episodes might not even have the main characters in it. That's where the anthology comes in. Some episodes might, where these guys are in Europe, some episodes might go back to Atlanta, and then they'll focus on like some social issue or some controversy that's going on, that's making the headlines that are going on at the time. The 4th episode in season 3 did that. They went back to Atlanta to deal with a white character, the dude they lost in The Hangover.
Yeah.
Glad they found him. He probably wishes. I wish they would have brought him to Atlanta though.
He was better off getting sun poisoning on the roof of a Las Vegas
hotel. He was
hotel.
better off dying in the sun on looking like a raisin in Las Vegas in The Hangover than coming back to Atlanta and dealing with all these black people. Because they have this thing now where they did want to do with reparations. It's a pretty challenging episode. I don't even know what opinion the episode takes on it, but raises all kind of questions. But none of the main characters are in it. And I kind of like that they did that. You know, we want to tackle this issue and we don't really need the main characters to be there.
What is this about?
Your family owned my great-great-grandmother and father for 12 years. You owe me money.
What I like about it is that it not only did it not have the main characters in there, which lends itself to the anthology feel, but I like that not having the characters in there was able to focus on the issue. Because again, I think it's a challenging issue that they brought up, and I think it challenges everybody who watches it, black and white people who watch this. I feel like, because we talked about it, you brought this up, they had that, anybody who's watched this show, and if you haven't, I'm gonna show you a clip, they had a weird ass episode about a dude named Teddy Perkins. I'm not gonna say too much about it, I'll just show you a clip. But I felt like after the Teddy Perkins episode, which you'll see right here.
It's a gift shop. I designed it myself to feel like a trophy room. I've already started the process of making this a historical site.
People are like, what the f***? What kind of damn Monchichi is that? That little monkey in there. Nah, people, I'm not going to tell you too much about it. Go look at it, but it's one of the most bizarre and horrifying episodes of television, man. And I feel like after this episode, Atlanta ain't been right.
I think that's one of the best episodes of television, period.
It went to a dark place and just never came back after that. Some people might see that as a bad thing. I see it as a great thing. I really love that they embrace the weirdness of the show after that and the darkness of it, man. Well, I'm going to talk about the darkness in a little bit because it does get really horrifying sometimes. And that's another reason why you need to know kind of what you're getting into, because you probably won't even know some of the references that are happening with this. It gets even weirder knowing that this is a world. This is so weird. This is the world where the pandemic probably never existed.
Oh, yeah, I guess
because it's never mentioned here. A lot of things that happen in this world never happened there. You know, we're talking about racism, but I don't know if we've talked about Breonna Taylor or George Floyd or anything like that. The pandemic is something that definitely doesn't exist here. Nobody's ever worn a mask. This is almost like a parallel world in a way. Now, the show's gotten so crazy, you might need something to get your mind right before you go in there. And that's why I'm going to tell people about Diet Smoke right now. Diet Smoke, you know, you might, the show is so weird, you might need be a little heightened too. Thing about Diet Smoke is you can watch the show and still keep up with it and feel good, but, you know, it's going to put you in a special place. You'll be feeling just fine. But you won't be feeling delusional or crazy. You can still kind of comprehend what you see on your screen or anywhere. Before I go any further, I always have to say this. YouTube, please don't mess with this ad right here, okay? Because what I'm talking about is legal. Don't say I'm promoting illegal drug use. Don't say I'm promoting illegal materials here. I'm not. This is 100% legal and it's not drugs, okay? So can you please, I'm saying respectfully, can you please just leave me alone? I don't know a nicer way to say that. Thank you. I appreciate it. But people, I've been telling folks about Diet Smoke for a while. Damn it, I should have brought my cup in here that I have, because I take this stuff a lot. I'd eat this stuff before going to bed and at night, and it's cool because these are Delta 8 gummies with Delta 8 THC in there. And you're probably saying, what the hell is Delta 8? Well, Delta 8 is just a milder version of what you have out there, and all the other stuff you smoke, all the other things that you have that have THC in it. That's usually that's Delta 9. That's stuff that gets you high and crazy and whatnot. People like me, it makes me incomprehensible, makes me look stupid while I'm sitting there, makes me paranoid. I can't make words. But this right here, I chew one of these gummies, a couple of them, and I feel relaxed. I feel good. I can hang out, or I can go to bed. And I'll sleep all night like a baby. I'm not saying that'll happen to everybody, but it works for me. Comes in 2 flavors, blue raspberry and watermelon. You can get a subscription of these if you really like them. Very low in sugar. And for all the people out there, all you patriots and Americans who love to buy American, this is American hemp product that's in here. And no prescription required at all. Go over to dietsmoke.com and use the code TOASTED for 20% off your order. Want to thank Diet Smoke for coming in and being so kind to us and letting us try this and enjoying it so much and sponsoring this portion of the show. And thank you out there for all of you who support. All right. Let me see here. So I was telling you, when you watch these episodes here, man, there's a lot to learn from these, and it might throw you off if you don't know what's really happening with it. Every episode is either controversy or has a social issue, or better yet, is based on a true piece of history or a true story. A lot of it either tragic or it's very interesting. You walk away with an education. That's another thing that can enhance your viewing of this. If you go and investigate every episode, you'll find something that it's referring to. The beginning of the first episode, talking about how this is a horror show. The first episode starts as a ghost story. Talks about how a black town was flooded, and there might be black ghosts in the water that's hunting people.
I just feel like I was being pulled.
You probably was.
By what?
It's a whole town underneath us.
And a lot of people are starting to read about how not only a town, but several towns, at least 2, I think, were flooded because they were affluent black towns. This is probably referring to a town called Oscarville here, where some of the people who lived there refused to leave. It was if you look, this is why you need to know this, because this is kind of history that people don't want you to know, which is why I'm glad shows like Atlanta's doing that. Right now, there are certain people who would not want you to know about this because they want America to have a squeaky clean image. After they told people to like lift themselves up by their bootstraps and succeed on your own, make something of yourself. This is a pattern of towns in the past that have been buried, their history, where they were doing well for themselves. Roosevelt, the Tulsa Massacre, and now this right here, where these people did right. They earned all their own money. They were doing very well, and some white people didn't like it and went in and just destroyed them, whether it be bombing or by flooding them out. But it's been later reported, like now it's gone to be a whole urban legend where a lot of people died around these lakes. Mm-hmm. And so people have started to say, oh, those are the people from the town pulling you under.
Oh, okay.
So, I love it that they don't come in and tell you straightforward, oh, this piece of history and it's so sad you should look it up. No, they just put in the story. If you know it, that's fine. If you don't know, well, hopefully somebody tells you. But it's great seeing that somebody address this. This show is addressing a lot of things that a lot of people forgotten about or don't hear about. Later in that episode, this very same episode right here, they deal with this kid that acting up in school, going crazy. Mama gets tired of him and just says, you know what? Child Protective Services is here. Take his ass on. Go on, leave. They take him. He gets put in the system. Now, that episode has some funny moments because the kid is adopted by 2 kind of hippie lesbians. and they kind of run a hippie slave plantation because they.
Well, this is based on a real thing that happened.
Yeah, well, I'm admit,
Wow.
this is so these two hippie lesbians, they got them out there like gardening and making them do kombucha,
Working the
and shit.
fields,
working
yeah,
a
yeah.
little field, and having them even singing slave songs. It's like hey, say, why don't you and have them out there wearing Martin hats and shit. Talking about why don't you sing something, and the kid is
Sweet
singing a rap
Lord.
song, and he's
Oh.
like, no, sing something like, oh, work is hard, something like that. And one of the funniest thing is that they kind of starve these kids. One, because they get them so little portions. Two, because the food is just nasty.
Larry, you're not eating.
This food is nasty. If I eat it, I will throw up.
I hate to say this, but you might want to look at Paula Patton's chicken. His shit, compare. Shit, if you saw that, you dig right in. That's,
We see where she got it from.
Yeah, shit, that's Popeyes compared to Paula Patton's chicken over there. But thing is that it's played for laughs, but it's also a very horrifying episode as it moves along. It's a scary episode, and what's more frightening is that it's actually based on a true story. It's a tragic story about the Hart lesbians, or the Hart family. These lesbians adopted all these black and brown kids, and something happened in their lives where they did a suicide pact and took these kids down with them.
Jesus.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
drove them off a cliff or something.
They drove, yeah. They took a bunch of Benadryl and to help themselves fall asleep, and then drove off a cliff into a bridge. Drove off either to a cliff or to a lake or something. But they had these kids with them, man, and killed all these kids. That show's addressing things like these kids being put in the system and probably nobody caring because one, they're black kids and brown kids, but two, they saw that they were being raised by these lesbian white women and thought like, well, surely these kids are okay.
Yeah.
They're with white moms, and so they were kind of neglected with these insane people right here. But a lot of people didn't know that and still don't know that today. And you got a show like Atlanta, one of the few shows that's going to be able to incorporate something like that into it without being too heavy-handed. You know, a lot of people don't know, and after watching, a lot of people still won't know because they don't know the look. But that's cool. I'd rather the show take that kind of approach of being subtle and having people discover it on their own instead of still being real heavy about it. I'm glad they went to Amsterdam, and I've been telling people about this goddamn Black Peter, which people today are still like, what? It's a whole country. Look, they say it's cultural, but it's a whole country that approves blackface. And all the black people there just have to be like, well, that's just how it is. And I went over there, I was like, what the is this? And I even told them, I said, man, I don't even want to disrespect y'all's culture, but this is up. I told white and black. I even told a dude, I wouldn't do this today, but there's a dude who was selling Black Peter shit. And I said, hey, man, I'm from America. I just want you to know. I ain't trying to start no trouble. I said, but for somebody like me, I don't know what y'all do over here, but this is shocking to me, man.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so do you think that they should change their tradition and their culture for us who aren't living there?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean the same thing to them that it means to us?
Because the black people are uncomfortable over there with it, but they're outspoken against. I'm not saying, but the black, because I've talked to black people over there. They don't like that shit. You know, do you think any black person over there would like this shit? Because it's nothing but white people doing it.
Sure.
I'm not even saying Amsterdam's a messed up place. People are very nice. It's a great city. It's a wonderful city to walk around in. I didn't walk around mad all the time. I was just kind of like, well, that's not cool, but hopefully one day you guys will be able to have your voice heard and get rid of that shit. But it's somebody in the chat says it's an ignorant portrayal. It is, because that's what it is. A person comes out and he's like, it's all, that's the other thing. Whether it's their culture or not, and I don't want to get in the whole discussion about Black Peter because Atlanta pointed out it's up. But it's a whole thing of, it's people who are, this is how they see us. Mm-hmm. And it's ignorant, it's subservient, it's animalistic in a way. There's another country where they even taking it a step further, where the dude comes out in chains and shit and talks about ooga booga.
That's the savage, right?
Yeah. So yeah, man.
I think that was in Belgium or something.
Yeah, Belgium.
Yeah. So no, if I have to just tell you personally, people can argue with me about this all day. I don't give a f- what your culture says. If your culture is demeaning another person, it's not right. And that's what that character does. This is when they made this, where they thought black people are silly, black people are subservient, black people are funny, and then they had this character bouncing around like a goddamn court jester. So yeah, anytime you demean another person, it's wrong. I don't care how much history you have in there. And the show addresses it. And a lot of people still don't know that they do that there. And that's probably why they do it, because the world hasn't been able to look at them and say, hey, man, I need to stop this shit. All right.
The clip I saw, the show did indeed address it.
There's also, and again, I don't want this, the only way I would say is, like, I don't want people to watch this and feel, who are white, and feel like, hey, you know, this is making me look bad and making me feel guilty, because a lot of it is pointing out white hypocrisy and white guilt and whatnot. They got a whole episode where it's fun because the shows are multi-layered, man. I really admired how multi-layered it was and the way they addressed things like racism. Now, maybe they took it to it's a comedic level that could be seen sort of stereotypical in a way, but it was one where an Asian woman said something to Darius, and it was kind of ignorant.
It was way up.
No, it was
what she said,
and I didn't feel sorry for her, but it was funny how you did see her as somebody who was somebody who aggregated the situation, who came in and said something real stereotypical up and racist, but then I almost was like, well, damn, they didn't have to go that hard on her.
I know.
There's an Asian chick who said something very offensive, but then there was a bunch of a room full of white people who just took it way out of context, and they tried to. It felt like they tried to lynch her ass at one point. Even Darius, the guy who was the target of said comment, even he was like, "Don't come in here."
Yeah, I know. Girl, run.
It's just like.
And this is the episode about white guilt, which is showing all these people who are supposed to be so liberal taking it to just a stupid level.
Like, I'm here with Paperboy, yeah, and then she's like, all lives matter. That's the problem. Coming back in here for being all racist.
About to lynch her ass, man. I didn't feel sorry for her because what she said was stupid.
I didn't either.
I didn't feel sorry, but it was funny how that just turned. I was like, I ain't got to go that hard on her. Plus, the group was being kind of stupid too. But yeah, man, that dude. People even know that character. The character in the hat. His name is Socks. And people like, yeah, that guy, man. he really is kind of a shithead sometimes. He ends up like being with the group for a while.
Does he?
Yeah. He's at least for the episodes I saw, he's hanging with them. He's kind of a dipshit though, man. That same episode also made statements about generational wealth that's achieved through slave labor. It also the exploitation of black talent, and somehow was able to tie it back to TikTok, which is kind of what they're doing right now. You know, it was a cool episode that had a lot of layers to it. So if you watch this, man, there's a lot of things. This is really smarter than a lot of your shows out there. This is why I really love this show, and I wish more people would watch it but it's so smart in a way that, you know, it doesn't want to speak down to people, and that can confuse people sometimes. So I would just say, just go in, and things you don't understand with this show, just go do a little research, or listen to the details. So I'm not gonna really rate it because I haven't seen all the episodes, because they got the last episode coming next week. I'm gonna watch it, and it could be something so bad that it just ruins the whole show, from like Game of Thrones. They get Game of Thrones and shit.
No, I doubt that.
I doubt it.
Don't put that on that show. Come on.
Yeah, so it's gonna be 10 episodes. So good. Because I'd love to see more. Yeah. I'm really digging this show, man.
It's kind of the proper evolution or sequel series to something like Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Yeah. So give it another chance if some of this stuff hasn't been, connecting with you or rocking with you, anything.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with this third season. I mean, I see all the things you're talking about, but it hasn't been connecting with me. I've been, every time I'm done with an episode, I feel very take it or leave it.
It's not for everybody, but and definitely some things you won't get answers to, and you'll be like, because there's some things that happen here. I was like, what the was that? But yeah, you probably see it. That episode with the dying dude in Amsterdam. That caught me on, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Do I even want to know?" let's just keep walking, man. So yeah, I love it. If you guys, check it out. Check it out if you haven't. But hey, if you are new, hopefully this breakdown helps right here. At least it'll help avoid a lot of confusion. Because I know some people walk in, they might be like, "I just don't know what's going on, man." I know
for a show about a rapper on tour, he never raps.
Well, I don't think that's the point though. It's never, it's never, it's it's never a point to stop the show and have him perform because everything else happens.
Well, it's like they keep telling me like, yeah, he's on this tour, but I'm like, well, I'm not really seeing. It doesn't even feel like they're on tour. It's like they are doing stuff.
Yeah, it never bothered me. I mean, I'm more. It seems to be more of a statement show and more about these characters and more about their weird lives.
Yeah.
That they run into. I actually kind of like that. The show's so surreal that you don't actually even see him rap ever. But then, like, that's just me, But maybe some people do want to see that. I don't know. And again, that's the people who be like,
I mean, I don't want to sit through a performance, but I don't know. It would bring me back to the point of like, this is, the premise of why we're here.
Yeah.
It would ground it just some.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's why I did this, because some people might not be their thing.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not your thing, but for me, yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I would love to hear some people, especially if you're new to it, what you think about it, if you get into it, because I know it's something that is a little hard. But I'm glad to hear it's got 10 episodes. It's 10 episodes. We got like 5 episodes left, so we'll see.